Hello, Dr. Jana.
Hello, my love.
How are you?
Very well, thank you.
How long have you been here to North Cyprus?
About 3 years.
Thank you for agreeing to answer some questions that we prepared today for you about the benefits, challenges and experience of living in North Cyprus.
Okay, yep, thank you.
First question is, what motivated you to move to North Cyprus? Was it for work, study, retirement or other reason?
I moved to Northern Cyprus predominantly because my son is studying here, so I came to support him, but also on a semi-retirement basis because I wanted a bit of a change in my life.
That's great. Our second question is, what are some of the challenges you have encountered since moving here and how have you been dealing with them?
Living in a different country to the one that you're used to, I've come from London, United Kingdom, is difficult most of the time. However, I think that maybe the 2 or 3 main points that have been challenging has been the bureaucracy or maybe lack of bureaucracy and system regarding government official business, things like buying, selling, things like dealing with immigration or citizenship, etc. And I think also possibly the lack of information in certain areas, like when you go to the hospital, things aren't really explained to you. There are some professionals who are amazing and they break down things for you and have good communication skills, but then there are others who don't feel the need to inform you of certain things that you have a right to know, and just go ahead and practice whatever their medical profession. And that's very frustrating when you have to ask questions that you shouldn't have to ask, that should be told to you anyway.
So the third question is, what Cyprus looked like when you first came here and how is it now to you?
The main changes that occurred when I moved here just before the pandemic, so we had to go through a year of complete changes in lockdown, systematic, being able to go out, being able to do things, and gradually that decreased, thank God. But I think the 2 main things, particularly living in Malta, is the roads, the condition of the roads that have been really bad this whole year. But we've been reassured that they are getting, they are tarmacking the roads after the drainage upgrading, and also there's been a lot of new builds. A lot of apartment buildings that I've noticed that in the past year or 2 has really been picking up. So yeah, they're the 2 main things.
Thank you. Question number 4. Could you share some tips for finding suitable accommodations in North Cyprus and any areas that you would recommend?
I think it depends on what you are coming here looking for. If you are a student, then it will depend on which institute you are registered to. So if you're registered to Eastern Mediterranean University, you will need to find accommodation in Malta. Obviously in Lefkoşa and in Girne there are different, and even Güzelyurt, there are different institutes. If you're coming because you're retired, if you are a Turkish Cypriot, if your family's from here, then a lot of the times people already have homes or family homes or areas or villages or towns or whatever that they're associated to through family anyway. If you're coming because you're retiring and you're an expat or you're someone who is not from not originally from Northern Cyprus, then again it just depends on what area actually works for you. Yeah. Malta is different to Girne. Girne is much more, I think, crowded, much more faster, and I think a lot of the younger generation like that area because there's a lot of English speaking, Russian speaking people there. Malta is much more, I think, spread out. I prefer Malta. It's a little bit quieter, but that's why I came here rather than the fast life. I live the fast life already in Europe and most of the world.
Okay. Okay, so next question is, what resources have you found helpful for learning about local events, activities and news?
I think on the Belediye, the council's either website or their social media pages, especially Facebook, then you can find out about different regions, different festivals, different events, etc. But also the expats groups that I'm a member of on Facebook have been invaluable in questions that sometimes other people have asked that we I hold on to because I think, okay, I might need this. It's been really valuable because there's a lot of people there are a group of people who help on those pages, and they if they don't know the knowledge, they'll find out, and their information is authentic. So they've been really helpful in a lot of situations that I've had to face since moving here.
Yeah. Okay, so next question is, how is your experience with the healthcare system in North Cyprus, and are there any recommendations you would like to share with me?
I think it's important to understand that if you have a residency, or if you have a kimlik, a citizenship card, etc., there are certain level of medical services that you can access. That's part of the system, but that's if you're working and if you have social security, etc. If you're paying your social security, but predominantly the private sector is much better in some cases than the public services, because there is the saying, you get what you pay for. However, there are some medical professions on the island who maybe create unnecessary costs for things that you may not need. I've had very good experiences with private sector, and I've had things done and family members looked at where it would take months to maybe a couple of years to get looked at back in London. However, we paid for that. And other times I've had pretty negative experiences as well with some doctors, whether it's to do with unnecessary costs, or whether it's to do with, if they're public service sector, whether it's to do with indifference and really negative attitude towards patients. So I'm not going to name any names, but it's a bit of a landmine, to be honest with you, in my experience.
Thank you, doctor. How have you been staying connected with other expats or your home country while in North Cyprus?
Especially during the pandemic, through Facebook, Instagram, etc., social media, with expats, but also people from back home. And then when the lockdown ended, I come and go a lot because I've still got contacts, I've still got work that I do in London as well. So it's nice, but social media is like more or less the way that everyone stays connected anyway.
Yeah. So we're almost at the end, and we've got last 3 questions for you,
Wonderful.
Dr. Canan.
Thank you.
All right, so what advice do you have for newcomers looking to explore and make the most of their time here?
Cyprus is a beautiful place. It really is. I mean, if you put aside the silly systematic red tape bureaucracy and if you embrace the way that the locals' attitude and their Mediterranean mentality, you will find that it's a beautiful country to visit. It's a beautiful country to inhabit and live here, and it's good to talk to people. I think the most important thing is making friends, and predominantly the locals and the indigenous people of here are actually, even the expats, even students, etc., are actually quite friendly. 90% of the population are friendly. They're hospitable. They're good people, but it's important to talk to people. You make friends, you make memories, and then you build your own community. That's how I do it.
Alright, so have you had any memorable experiences or insights into North Cyprus history, traditions or festivals?
I know a lot about North Cyprus. I did my PhD on London Turkish Cypriot youth, and part of that was researching the history, researching the social, cultural and political aspects of the island, the whole island and Northern Cyprus, and I'm also basing my knowledge on empirical experience, my own experience as a Turkish Cypriot, but also the experiences of other friends and family. I definitely keep in touch with the festivals, the music festivals, the different district festivals. This is the year, this is the time of year when you have the different festivals. And I think it's wonderful to attend some of these festivals. Some regions celebrate what they're good at, like the Orange Festival or the Fig Festival, or whichever regions produce a particular food source, they have a festival for that as well. And I think it's lovely, and it's steeped in cultural history. And Cyprus is well worth knowing and learning about.
It's very interesting. Alright, the last question is what local customs or etiquette have you found important to be aware of to integrate smoothly into community?
When we say community, if we're talking about the Turkish Cypriot community, Northern Cyprus is predominantly quite cosmopolitan in a lot of areas, and but when you're talking about etiquette, from Turkish Cypriot etiquette, things like we love our food, and food is a huge factor in socializing, in communicating and connecting with people. I find a lot of, you go to someone's house and at least they will give you Turkish coffee or tea and little biscuits or böreks or whatever, and that they made themselves, or majun, the karpuz majun, etc. And also we are very family oriented. Very family oriented. People are, even those who live in town, are from some village or another, and even as a kid when I was in London, if someone you knew, if they knew that I was Turkish Cypriot and they're Turkish Cypriot, they would immediately ask me, where's your family from? Because if your family's from Baf, whereabouts in Baf? Paphos. If your family's from Kaleburnu, if your family's from Velili, do you know what I mean? All the different villages, because each village has their own reputation, their own traits.
Culture.
And cultural traits is really weird. And those people who live here, or particularly the older generation, are more familiar with what those traits are. Sometimes they're negative traits, according to other people, and sometimes they're just just things that they're known for, they're renowned for. So it's interesting, but it's also not very what's the word? It's very insular in that if you're Turkish Cypriot, you get that more than if you're a foreigner, if you're not Turkish Cypriot. But that's the one thing that struck me. We like our food. Everyone, I don't know whether I should put negative stuff, but one thing I have found here is that everyone tends to smoke. There's so many smokers. And when I've spoken to students, international students, that's the one thing that they pointed out. It was like, oh my God, everyone smokes here. So that's a little bit interesting. Don't be silly.
We didn't know what to.
Oh, bless you.
Think. So we took some sweets for you and your family. Thank you so
darling.
much.
Oh, that's very sweet of you.
It's really important for us, and we're really thankful for you for coming.
That's another thing I was going to say. Wherever you go to someone's house,
Okay.
My mum's always taught us, don't go with your hands empty.
Yeah.
So either you bring a sweet or a drink or something, you know, not drink so much, but, well, thank you. But that's one of the things, that the etiquettes that we know. But I think that's in a lot of places.
But this is not from Cyprus.
No. I think that's quite quite Mediterranean, actually. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Very much closely connected to society.
Oh, it's very interesting.
Definitely. You should take one of my courses. When you make friends with people, because you don't know what experiences they have. You're the boss, you're supposed to want to do this. Okay.
So it's what local customs or etiquettes have you found important to be aware of to integrate smoothly into community? Wow.
Oh, that's a good one.
Let me. Could you share some tips with finding an accommodations? Just a second. Sorry. We almost came to the end.
We're almost at the end.
We're almost at the end.
At the end, yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
You need to say action so she knows when to talk. Just get it all. No pictures, please. No pictures.
That's why I never say.
Okay.